Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, Ek Kitab Se Ek Moti, which in English means a pearl or gem from one book. Today I'm going to read from a French spiritual classic titled Let Go, written by Fenelon. Now, Fenelon is a French name, so let's just check how it should be pronounced. I think some of the websites I checked, they recommended the pronunciation Fenelon. But I think since I'm speaking the English language, I'll try to pronounce it the English way. So I think Fenelon seems to be the right pronunciation. And years ago I used to listen to a gentleman called Fred Smith Sr., whose famous book is considered an undiscovered classic, You and Your Network. I'm going to make a video on that. So when I was listening to Fred Smith Sr., one of his lectures or talks, in that he pronounced this name as Fenelon. So I'll stick to that pronunciation instead of the French pronunciation, which is probably Fenelon. Now I don't know how to pronounce the French language, so instead of trying to do what I don't know, let me pronounce it the English way, which is Fenelon. So Fenelon, as I said, was a French Catholic archbishop, theologian, poet, and writer. And this book he wrote actually originally in the French language. It's a collection of letters that he wrote, and the title of it is Let Go Now. Earlier, I think it was published under the title Spiritual Letters. And this is a translation done by one Mr. Midred. Now I don't know how it's pronounced. Is it Midred, Whitney Stillman? So apologies for my mispronunciation, if any. And I'm going to read from the 16th letter, which is, those who injure us are to be loved and welcomed as the hand of God. So that will be the theme of this video, and this video I hope is going to be a short one. So if you see the hand of God in the events that happen to you or that take place around you, then you can maintain your peace of mind and stop blaming the circumstances and the world and hating anyone or hating situations, although it's very hard to practice. But it's better to just focus on positive things. That way we accentuate the positive, right? I think there's a popular saying, I'm not sure whether I'm able to recall the exact words. I think the phrase is accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. So there is, whatever you focus on is what becomes strong, right? You reinforce it, you make it stronger in your mind. For example, accentuating the positive means like focusing on the positive. So trying to say positive things again and again, trying to read positive things, trying to think positive thoughts, and trying to do positive actions. As I have also mentioned in one of my previous videos, thoughts, words, and deeds, these are usually the three things over which we have control. So our thoughts should be positive, our speech should be positive, and our actions should be positive. That is, not be influenced by the circumstances, because what happens is a negative person is controlled by the environment, just like a thermometer, right? This I read in a book on overcoming worry by John Edmund Hagee. I think it's titled How to Win Over Worry. So he said there are certain thermometer personalities that kind of reflect the environment, or whatever happens outside is how their temperature rises or lowers. So they are indicators. They indicate the outside environment. So if something negative happens to them, they become negative, just like a thermometer, right? It rises when the temperature rises, and the thermometer goes down, like the indicator in that, and the mercury, right? Mercury. So it goes down. Similarly, a negative personality, when something good happens, someone says a good thing about that person, he kind of pops up, or is very happy, or I'm trying to recall the exact word for it, and that is like he is puffed up, he's full of joy and enthusiasm and is happy. But when something negative happens, like that person is deflated. Yes, I got the word. I was trying to think of this word, inflated. So praise inflates this person and criticism deflates the person. So that's how the person reacts to the environment. But a thermostat, again, let me just check the pronunciation of thermostat. So one type of personality, the negative personality, is the thermometer personality, which now this person reacts to the environment. And the thermostat, let me check the exact definition of thermostat: a device, as in a home heating system, a refrigerator or an air conditioner, that automatically responds to temperature changes and activates switches controlling the equipment. Now, you look at the word respond. So a thermostat responds, doesn't react. So in this sense, the thermostat personality creates an environment within himself or herself. So it's unaffected by the outside environment, or I should say positively affected. So something negative happens and the person adjusts the mental environment and becomes immediately positive. So I mean, whether a positive event occurs or a negative event occurs, the person retains the same atmosphere. That's why someone said a positive person carries the atmosphere along with himself or herself. And I think a negative person says, wherever I go with myself and I spoil everything. So it's basically you yourself create your own heaven and hell, as Milton said. The mind is its own heaven or hell. I don't remember the exact words, but that's the gist of what he tries to say in one of the verses in his classic Paradise Lost. And now let me come to this letter and let me just read it from this book, letter number 16. Don't allow yourself to be upset by what people are saying about you. Let the world talk. All you need to be concerned about is doing the will of God. As for what people want, you can't please everybody, and it isn't worth the effort. One quiet moment in the presence of God will more than repay you for every bit of slander that will ever be leveled against you. You must learn to love other people without expecting any friendship from them at all. People tend to be quite fickle. They love us and leave us. They go and come. They shift from one position to another, like a kite in the wind or like a feather in the breeze. I'm sorry. Let them do as they will. Just be sure that you see only God in them. They could do nothing to you without His permission. This has both the pronunciations are okay. Without. They could do nothing to you without His permission. So in the end, it is He that tests or blesses us, using them as we have need. So the theme of this video is that you see the hand of God in everything that happens. And a classic example of this can be found in one of the characters in the Bible, one of the greatest characters. I think he was called the greatest man of the East, or there is a place name mentioned. I don't know whether it's Ur or Uz. I'm not sure about the pronunciation. So he is Job, J-O-B, Job, and his story is in the book of Job, and the first few chapters are devoted to his attitude to pain and trouble and disaster and disease, and how he responds to them instead of reacting to them. As I said, a thermometer personality reacts and is inflated or deflated based on whether someone praises them or criticizes them respectively. So if there is criticism, there is deflation. If there is praise, there is inflation. But Job was a thermostat personality. He carried his environment with himself and was not affected by the changing circumstances or the vicissitudes of life. Vicissitudes, like changing situations of life. So the story goes something like this. So Job was one of the greatest men in the East. He was rich and he was ethical, and he had several children. Once Satan goes to God and asks him, and God asks him how his devotee or follower Job was doing on earth, and Satan tells him that he's doing fine, but then that's because you have kept him well, and he's wealthy, and he has children, and he has a lot of other forms of wealth like cattle, gold, and other things, and he's leading a happy life. So that's why he's your devotee. But bring some disaster upon him, and he will curse you to the face. Something like that. I'm not trying to say it the exact way it's in the Bible. I'm just interpreting it for you. I may be mistaken. If there is any kind of anything that I'm interpreting that should not be interpreted by me, just let me know, and I'll try to make amends in the next video. So Satan tries him the first time, so there is a great disaster that lands upon him. So I think he loses his property. That's one of the disasters. And then Satan goes back to God, and then God asks him how his devotee was doing. So by this time, Job was suffering a lot, but then he maintained his devotion to God, and he just maintained the same attitude towards God. And then I think another disaster lands upon Job because of Satan. So God allows Satan to test his devotee, Job. So Satan goes back to the earth, and I think then the other disaster comes in the form of the death of all the children of Job. And then Satan goes back to God, and God asks him how my devotee Job has been doing, and then Satan tries to tell God that we need to test him further. So Satan goes back to Job, and inflicts him with sores or boils, from the top of his head to the sole of his foot, from the crown of his head to the sole of his foot. He inflicts Job with boils, that is full of what do we call boil? Sores, wounds on his skin. And then Job sits upon a heap of ashes and scrapes his body with a broken piece of pottery. This story is in the book of Job, so if someone wants to know the exact verses and the words that have been used, it's a poetic work, and I think Carlyle was the one who considered it one of the greatest works of literature. So Job scrapes his body with a broken piece of pottery. Then Job's wife comes to him and tells him, or I don't know whether scolds him or speaks very harshly to him and says, "Are you still alive and retaining your devotion? Just curse God and die." But then Job tells her something that's very important. So he tells her, "You are a foolish lady. Do we accept only good things from God and not the bad things?" And so this is the secret of Job's attitude, and this is the secret of maintaining a positive attitude even when others are criticizing you or saying bad things about you. So see the hand of God in everything. Both good and bad are under the control of God. So in this passage, Fenelon says that you see the hand of God in everything that happens, and you see God in others. How do you see God in others? You see as though, or as it were, God was, moving them, their body, their mind, their speech. So the activity of the people who are in certain specific locations on this earth are actually the activity of God. That is, it is God's hand that's moving them. So it's very difficult to practice, because in that moment, in the heat of the moment, it's difficult to control ourselves. When someone says bad things about us, or scolds us, or treats us in a bad way, ill treats us or mistreats us. So these things can really test our patience. But the true devotee sees the hand of God in these activities, and just like Job maintained his composure and his peace of mind in all those disastrous situations and in the calamity that he faced. Similarly, we should maintain a composure and be balanced even when things are not going according to our wishes. So see the hand of God in everything, and you'll be a happier, a cheerful, and a positive person. Thanks for watching this video.